A rosy dawn brimming over Metropolitan Stadium and a fine new day. The 29th day of December, bright with sunshine and great expectations, answered the first question that was to be settled on this day of the NFC Championship game in 1974. Whether the weather or the players would be the most significant factor in this meeting between the Los Angeles Rams and the Minnesota Vikings in Bloomington, Minnesota. On well-kept grounds and in brisk, invigorating 30-degree weather, both the Rams and Vikings fully expected to take their victory at the line of scrimmage, unimpeded by the nuisance of bad weather. Each intended to roll over the other using the same well-polished tactics, with similar game plans built around extraordinarily powerful offensive and defensive front sevens. And if there was an advantage prior to kickoff, it was because of this man, Bud Grant, the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. The only man ever to lose 2 Super Bowls, and nobody connected with the Vikings organization needed to be reminded of the importance of this next-to-last step on the road back to sweet redemption. Having lost a regular season encounter with the Rams 2017 in Los Angeles, the Minnesota Vikings were completely aware of the challenge ahead in this, the NFL Game of the Week. Forced to punt on their first series, the Vikings got a break when the Rams failed to field the ball and allowed it to roll to their 5-yard line. The Viking defense contained Los Angeles in a hole, but Minnesota lost its fine field position on their next possession, when Fran Tarkenton's blooper intended for Dave Osborne was intercepted by the Rams' Charlie Stoops. A repeat shows the Rams' rush forced Tarkenton to loft the football too high over Osborne's head and into Charlie Stoops' hands. Tight with the championship jitters, the Rams almost turned the football right back to the Vikings. But showing plenty of professional poise on first down at the Minnesota 36, Jimmy Harris straightened up and found his other setback, Jim Bertelsen, for a 13-yard gain. On the very next play, Lawrence McCutcheon, number 30, was betrayed by his own extra effort. And as he threatened to do at the start of the series, he coughed up the football, ending the drive. If the Rams offense had gotten off to an awkward start, the Rams defense was ever the menacing unit, which had permitted the fewest points in the NFC during the regular campaign, and which, incredibly, surrendered a total of only 2 field goals in all the first quarters of this season. But points were the least of the Vikings' problems in this first quarter, as a dominant Los Angeles Rams defense denied Minnesota even a single first down. Meanwhile, the Rams' attack threatened to sputter to life as Jim Bertelsen bolted for yardage before Jimmy Harris found Harold Jackson darting across the middle, advancing the Rams into Minnesota territory. But 2 plays later, under a heavy rush, the young quarterback cut loose an ill-advised aerial which hung up for the Vikings' nickelback, Randy Podol, number 29, and Minnesota escaped the first quarter with the score still tied 0-0. At the top of the second period, the Vikes registered their first down on this pass from Tarkenton to Stu Voigt. But 2 first downs later, this Viking uprising was laid firmly to earth by Freddie Dreyer, who summed up much of the professional spirit prior to the game when he was asked about playing against Tarkenton, an old friend and a teammate from the New York Giants. "I love Fran," he said, "but I hate those Viking uniforms." On their next series, the Rams again exhibited a surprising uncertainty of execution as Harris and Bertelsen muffed this exchange, and the Vikes were quickly back in business at the Los Angeles 24-yard line. But in a game which unaccountably produced 8 fumbles and 3 interceptions under perfect playing conditions, Minnesota could not control the football any more effectively, and the Vikings immediately squandered this opportunity when Fran Tarkenton fumbled it right back to the Rams, only to watch the LA receivers go stone-fingered as a statue and both offenses languish. But on Minnesota's next offensive turn, there was a shift in strategy. Putting away the conservative gobble, nibble, chew tactics, Tarkenton started looking to make up for lost time, and once again almost with disastrous results. But cleverly, Tarkenton reaped advantage from this near miscue. Having shown his willingness to attack the deep middle, he sent John Gilliam underneath on the next play and picked up 18 yards. And then returning to the same aggressive pattern which paid off in the playoffs against the Cardinals, Tarkenton again went for broke and hit Jim Lash at the flag for the game's first score, giving Minnesota a sudden 7-point advantage. Jim Harris came back throwing, but superb coverage by a fired-up Minnesota defense led by middle linebacker Jeff Seaman, number 50, limited the Rams' gains. Returning to his ground game, Tarkenton now found better results, and led by Chuck Foreman, the Vikes advanced to midfield. But from the Los Angeles 48, with under 2 minutes remaining in the half, Foreman was stripped of the ball by Jack Youngblood, and the Rams had one last chance to rally their uncertain offense and get on the board. Watch the value of a tall quarterback as Jim Harris drops back, and with a clear line of vision over the Minnesota rush, he finds Jack Snow for a 19-yard gain to get the Rams in gear. Another perfectly thrown ball caught by Lawrence McCutcheon brought the ball to the Viking 18. But with 3rd and 2 at the 10, the Rams' first impressive offensive effort sputtered when Harris bounced this dart off McCutcheon's hands. A super quick move and near interception by Alan Page almost stilled the drive. But with 4th down, a minute 12 remaining, needing 2 at the 10, the Rams still had a choice. They chose a field goal and left the field trailing 7-3 after a bewildering first half for two usually very disciplined teams. Harris had moved the Rams well late in the first half, completing 4 of 6 passes on their field goal garnering drive. But early in the third quarter, when Harris tried to pass, he found no one open and ran with some strange and sorry results. Number 43, Nate Wright, came up with Harris's fumble. And to look at the play from our end zone camera reveals how this wild and wacky sortie came about. It all began with a good play fake to John Cappelletti, but no receivers were able to break free. Harris then pulled the ball down, but never put it away. And as it hung out there like the proverbial loaf of bread, Roy Winston came in high and punched it loose. The Rams still had a shot at it, but Capoletti missed, and Wright eventually scooped it up. In their first-round playoff game last week, the Vikes had similarly caused an early second-half turnover and turned it into a beat-breaking touchdown against the Cardinals. But this time they could not. They did, however, have excellent field position for Mike Eischeid's punt, and he hit what can only be described as a perfect coffin corner kick. Dave Elmendorf could only stand helplessly by as the official marked the ball inside the 1-yard line. Surely now the Minnesota defense would make the turnover pay off. But down deep, where the yards come tough, Harris found a crack good for 8 yards and a little more operating room. The Rams were still not in the best field position, but a good cutback by Jim Bertelsen gained 10 yards, and Los Angeles had escaped a deep, self-dug hole. From the 25, Harris could now go to any play, but it is doubtful that this one was contained in the Ram playbook. Harold Jackson didn't quite have enough steam to get around Jeff Wright, who pushed him out at the 2-yard line. It was to be a crucial 2 yards, but more on that later. First, let's take a look at this extraordinary play from the end zone. On the play, Roy Winston, number 60, blitzed and had a clean shot, but Harris is a strong quarterback, and he broke Winston's tackle and unloaded on the run. Jackson made a good move cutting back against the flow of the pursuit, but found that his own teammate Capoletti had sealed off the sideline. So Jackson again reversed his field, but it was back into the flow of the pursuit, enabling Jeff Wright to run him down. An isolated look at Harris reveals that the play couldn't have happened at all, were it not for his strength, as first Winston, then Seaman couldn't bring him down, and Harris is able to withstand a tough hit by Page. And now back to those 2 crucial yards. After a run gained 1.5, Pat Curran gave the half-yard to go signal. The ball, which had shortly before been less than a yard from their own end zone, was now the same distance from the Viking goal. But it would never get any further. Watch the upper left of the screen as number 88, Curran, moves before the ball is snapped. The motion penalty moved the ball back 5 yards. And then, after a run brought a 3rd and goal from the 2, Harris rolled right and tried a pass that cost the Rams dearly. Wally Hilgenberg intercepted. And looking at the play from the end zone, we can see how the ball got to him. Number 25, rookie Jackie Wallace, got a good solid deflection. And though he feared he might have deflected it to a Ram, it was his good fortune that a pair of friendly fists came up with the ball. The Vikings have been making this kind of play for years. And now, instead of trailing, they still led 7-3. It was a big, big break. And if it's true that good teams make their own breaks, Minnesota must be very good, for they would soon get several more that would finish the Rams. The first break came after a Tarkenton pass had only 2 possible receivers, both Rams. But neither Ken Geddes nor Dave Elmendorf could pick it off. On the very next play, a crucial 3rd down, Tarkenton managed to elude the Ram rush and hit Stu Voigt with a first down pass. Again on the very next play, Chuck Foreman did his Harlem Globetrotter dribble routine, but still came up with the ball. But the biggest break was yet to come. By the fourth quarter, Minnesota had reached the Los Angeles 12 and had a 3rd and 4. Somehow, Tarkenton held onto the ball, but the apparent sack should have forced Minnesota into a field goal try. But here again, the Vikings were saved by the biggest break of all. Number 89, Fred Dreyer, the sacker, was ruled offside, bringing Minnesota a first down. Though Dreyer pled his case to the officials from sideline to sideline, his soliloquy fell on deaf ears. Was Dreyer's dismay well-founded? The play was the most important in the game at this point, and when we review the play, we can see that he may have had a point. Dreyer's long suit is quickness. Watch the upper part of the screen. Does he cross the line before the ball was snapped or not? The man in the striped shirt, who has the best angle, said, "Sorry, Fred, no dice." And so once again, the ball was inches from the goal line. But where the Rams had failed to punch it in, the Vikings would not, as the more experienced Fran Tarkenton finished off the drive with a Dave Osborne dive, and Minnesota led 14-3 with 12 minutes to go. Though there was still lots of time left, Harris chose to go right to the air, finding tight end Bob Klein for 10 yards. Harris finished the drive when he nailed Harold Jackson from 44 yards out. It had taken the Rams just 5 plays to get back to within 4 points. On a repeat, notice another good play fake by Harris, and Tom Mack's good block on Alan Page, the only lineman to penetrate. Then, with lots of time, Harris threw a strike to Jackson, and no one was going to catch him this time. 9 minutes still remained, and if the Ram defense held, there would be plenty of time for the Rams to go ahead. And they did hold, although they got a little help as a break at last went their way. A holding penalty negated a 3rd down completion that would have given the Vikings a 1st down, and the Rams took over on the Minnesota 45. But if you've ever wondered what it's like to have Carl Eller and friends breathing down your neck with their ears pinned back on a 2nd and long, this view will give you a pretty good idea. After a loss of 12 brought up 3rd and 20, another brutal power rush rang up a 4th and 37, as Harris was pinned back another 17 yards. The Rams had been blown out of their good field position, but still another 5.5 minutes remained. And another good job by the Ram defense would buy them one more shot. But though he did not know it at the time, James Harris had taken his last snap from center in 1974. Minnesota still had one break left, and it would finally finish the Rams season when Foreman fumbled and the chase was on again. The Vikings had gotten yet another incredible bounce. On a repeat from the end zone, we can see that Foreman lost the ball when hit by Fred Dreyer coming over from his right end position. Al Clark had the best shot at the ball, but it took another high bounce, and Charles Goodrum snatched the last and most important break in a game that seemed to go all Minnesota's way. As the Viking defense watched from the sidelines, the Minnesota offense took no more chances and managed to eat up the rest of the clock without further incident. While on the Rams sideline, there was nothing that could be done to halt the rapidly ascending end to their 1974 season. Finally, it was over. For the second straight year, the Minnesota Vikings were the National Football Conference champions and were in the Super Bowl. This marks the third time that the Vikings are making the trip. Only the Dolphins have gone as many times. But contained in that statistic is a distressing note. No team has done what the Vikings have done in the Super Bowl. They are the only two-time losers. But those losses can be erased. One thing will do it, and they've got a shot at it now that they've earned a berth in Super Bowl IX, where one win can soothe a lot of past heartaches. Quite frankly, the Vikings were a little bit lucky today in their 14-10 victory over the Rams. They'll have to play a lot better and hold on to the ball a lot tighter if they hope to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in New Orleans on Super Sunday.